Well, we have a very different Dawnless Days video for you here today, guys. It's been a long time. It's been like nearly 2 years since we've done one, but we are back with another unit overview. And I thought, we should bring this series back of sort of going over every faction in Dawnless Days and sort of giving it an overview of like what's good about them, what's bad about them, and what units maybe you should think about bringing. So yeah, usually these videos we kind of go through every category of the roster. So that's like swords, spears, shock, pikes, cavalry, archers, and any other special sort of units that they may have along the line. So we'll kind of go through them in categories. We always start with like the worst sort of unit and go all the way to the best sort of unit if you've never seen these videos before. So we'll start with like sort of like a sword militia and end up with like a, I don't know, like a Gondor sword infantry or something like that if you're going off Gondor swords. Obviously, we're not going to be doing that here today, as we have the goblins, as you can see. We haven't done the goblins yet. One of the more like OG factions has been added a little while ago. Kind of came out when Moria came out, I think, as a map. I think that's when they kind of came out. This must be what, like 2 years ago now as well. Insane. Really long time since we've like sort of done any of these videos, and I thought, yeah, bring the series back. And goblins, they've kind of been fleshed out recently quite a lot in recent updates with sort of cavalry department and shock and a few other areas. So I thought we'll go over them. I don't think they're going to get tweaked again. I think they are they might aesthetically get changed, but I don't think we'll get any more units for them. I would have thought they've got 20 units as it is, actually. They have quite a full roster, literally a full army here in units. So yeah, so I don't think they're going to get tweaked again, so I thought we'd check these guys out. If you want to see more sort of unit overviews, do let me know. Because yeah, I'd be wanting to do I might do a few more of these. I might do a few submod ones as well. I haven't added any submod units. These are all vanilla units. But if you wanted me to do some more submod factions, say like maybe Dol Amroth, or Dorwinion, for instance, or Karn maybe, for like Last Breath submod, since most of those factions are going to be in the game anyway, in like the vanilla campaign, do let me know. I'll be happy to do some. And if you enjoy these sort of unit overview videos and want to see more, do let me know. I'd be interested to hear your sort of response on these, or whether you'd want to see more sieges, which don't worry, they won't be forgotten about either. We've got plenty of those to come. But anyway, let's get on with this. The first unit we have here is the Goblin Light Infantry. You've had a good old look at them now. But yes, definitely your sort of chaff infantry that, every faction has. Like I was saying, Gondor Sword Militia. Well, this is the Gondor Sword Militia of the Goblins. Goblin Light Infantry. Pretty poor. Melee attack 26 and melee defense 20. Its charge bonus of 31. Its melee damage is 38, which I think stays pretty constant over most of the sword units because they've all kind of definitely got the same weapon. Missile block chance of 0, which actually must be one of the few sword units I can think of that actually has a 0 missile block chance, because even most sword units have some missile block chance. These guys don't, surprisingly, I guess. But I don't even think they do have a... Yeah, they don't even really have a shield, so that makes sense. Morale, it's saying 34, but it's in fact base 23, if you were to count generals alive, flank secure, and stuff like that. Health of 60, and its speed 39, so they are pretty damn speedy, are the Goblin Light Infantry. As you can see, all reds down the side there. You're bringing these guys for mass, maybe, or just be an annoyance, or just maybe to push a ram forward. You're not really going to be using them for anything of tactical. So like any brilliance in winning your game, they're going to be absorbing missiles like Javies and stuff like that, or pushing your rams forward and absorbing archer towers. Yeah, we'll move on from the light infantry, and I think we move on to something pretty mainline that most guys are going to be bringing here, which is in fact the Goblin Blade Warriors, which most guys will be bringing. This is kind of your bread and butter of your Goblin army. These guys look awesome, straight from the Fellowship of the Ring, their sort of aesthetic look, and yeah, they look awesome. They really, really do. And we'll quickly go over their stats. They're tier 3, so we've gone immediately from tier 1 to tier 3. No tier 2 sword for the goblins. Melee attack 35, so we've gone up a little bit. Their melee defense as well, 41. We've gone up. Charge bonus 31, which is the same as the Goblin Light Infantry, so you're getting no extra charge for your money. But you are getting missile block for a change, you're getting 32 positive instead of just a fat 0. Armor 55, melee damage 38, which like I said, I think is the same. I think. And then speed 36. It's still pretty damn speedy. This is a great thing with the goblins, that they are super, super speedy. You can zip around the map with these guys and get a lot done. And morale's saying 44, but it's in fact base 33, which is not bad. It's not great. It's pretty. It's okay. Like you said, pretty average. It's good, average. It's kind of how I describe these guys. You can bring a lot of them as well. It's 190 in a unit, and you can kind of spam these guys out relatively well and have quite a large army on your hands. So yeah, why you would maybe bring the Goblin Blade Warriors, a very solid unit that is for sure. And then the final unit, which everyone is aware of, and I think if you're playing goblins, you're going to probably end up bringing these guys. It's the High Chieftains Guard, which do look badass. They kind of look a little bit moldy, like their armor's going off a bit, but I guess it's gold. It's kind of rusting. It looks very cool though. Very, very cool unit. You can bring this as a general unit as well if you chose to, but we will go over that later. So yeah, it's one of the units you can bring as a general if you chose to. Yeah, High Chieftains Guard, tier 4, excellent melee defense, excellent melee attack, poor missile block chance. So yeah, the missile block's actually lower than a Goblin Blade Warrior. Interesting to know. It's not stuff I really look at very often, because you kind of just assume with the swords that they're going to have some decent one. But yeah, they actually have pretty poor missile block. Yeah, it was like 32 for the Goblin Blade Warriors, now down to 24. Armor 55, so you're getting a little bit more there. I think, as well, and morale, it's saying 50, but it is indeed 39. 70 for health, so you're getting a little bit of an increase there, and then speed 36 is staying the same, even though they are like heavily armored, these guys as well. They're staying the same. Melee attack is 41, 48 for melee defense, and then 33 charge bonus, and then the melee damage is 38, so they are going up ever so slight, well, the same sort of area. They're not going up massively at all. But there you go. That's the High Chieftains Guards. Look very, very cool. And these guys are capped at 3, so you're not going to spam these guys out. They cost quite a lot anyway. You might just have these as sort of your reserve sword line if your Blade Warriors kind of give way. But yeah, after we've checked out the swords, as we have done now, I think all 3 units have been covered. We'll go on to what is going to be shock/axes. So I'll see you guys in a moment. Look at this cheeky little face. This is the face of a goblin scrapper. This is the cheapest axe infantry you can bring as the goblins. They are, as you can tell, pretty basic. They've actually got a shield though. That's something. But yeah, these guys have a shield and an axe. That's pretty much it, and then set it into battle. But yeah, the Goblin Scrappers, as you can see here, tier 1 again, 250-man unit. So again, you're going for mass. You're not really thinking about anything more than that. Very poor armor, 20 armor. Missile block of 20s, they actually have some because they have that shield in their hand. Health of 60, speed 41, which makes them one of the speediest units around, that's for sure. Melee damage 32, charge bonus 32. And yeah, melee attack 27, melee defense 32. So yeah, very poor armor. Average melee attack, which 21 I wouldn't say was average. So it's below average, I would have thought, with looking at some of the other units we've seen. And then poor missile block chance, which is true. Yeah, the 20 is not great, but it's better than some, as we've already seen the Goblin Light Infantry doing the worst there. But yeah, you might, again, these guys you're probably going to be bringing, pushing around, maybe absorbing javi volleys, stuff like that. These guys are going to rout pretty quickly. Their morale says 33, but it is in fact base 23. Yeah, it's kind of expected. Same as the good light infantry, that tier 1 sort of infantry there. But anyway, enough of the Goblin Scrappers. Let's get on to the next unit, which, if we do shift along, is another axe unit. Is the Night Raiders. Night Raiders is a tier 2 light axe infantry unit. Again, you might bring these guys. These are more likely what you are to bring as goblins. I've seen these guys brought quite a bit. Again, probably going to be a bit of a chaff unit. Not going to get a lot done, but they got a little bit more of a bite than the scrappers do. As you can see, actually have good melee attack, average melee defense, and average missile block. And there's a pretty large unit of 225. But yeah. Going up, obviously, a little bit improvement in their melee attack, 32. Melee defense is 35. Still getting that charge bonus to 34. And melee damage of 32. Armor's up to 45. And missile block is at 31. So we're improving a little bit there as well. Morale is at 29. So we've improved about 6 points there. I wish my maths was better, apparently. Health 60, which seems like it's the base for most goblin units. Then speed of 39. So again, still a really super speedy unit. It's going to zip around the map. And I think these guys look really cool. I think they've got one of the best looking like armor, I think, for the goblins. I really like the helmet they got going on. Looks really cool. The eyes like just glinting through. Looks awesome. Makes them look like they got tusks. They kind of look like something out of, I don't know, like the orcs from like the Warhammer. So like 40k, stuff like that. They kind of with the tusks going on there. But yeah, they are a pretty cool unit. Definitely viable in bringing. You might bring these again just to sort of like screen your army, your main army. I think quite a lot of the big thing with goblins is obviously you've got a lot of very vulnerable units in some areas of sort of like your shock, and your infantry is like okay. But it definitely is not possibly going to be able to take a lot of factions on one-on-one, like a sword on a sword. So you want these guys to sort of screen, maybe you'll take some hits, and then you send in your elites. Or your shock. I feel like that's always kind of... So goblins with mass, it definitely is a viable tactic to do. But yeah, the Night Raiders, that is the final axe unit. I've kind of just bunged shock in as well with them because it kind of really works. And we'll move on to... the shock infantry, which is here, which is the mountain marauders. Do see these guys being brought quite a bit. Kind of quite look a lot like the axes we just looked at there, and they've got the tusk-looking helm going on. And yeah, we do have the mountain marauders, another tier 2 unit. Shock this time though, and they are medium. So yeah, looking at stats, 34 melee attacks, pretty low for a shock. Melee defense 23, kind of expected. It's a shock unit at the end of the day. And then you've got 45 melee damage there, as you can see. So yeah, pretty solid. You'd expect something like that. I imagine that's going to be pretty base line for the goblin shock infantry. Armor at 40, missile block 0, because yeah, shock infantry does not have any missile block. They've got a massive sword or axe in their hand. They can't be blocking any arrows. They just kind of have to accept they're going to be taking them. Morale is at 29, kind of the same as the Night Raiders. And then you got the health at 60 and speed at 38. So a little bit slower than those axes, but only by a point. So these guys are still very speedy. Definitely very viable to bring. Again, very cheap sort of shock infantry unit you might use maybe in a lower tier game with like lower prices. Or you might just be thinking, I've got some spare cash, I'll bring these guys. And it definitely can be viable. Definitely can get some stuff done. That's for sure. And if not, they're just, very speedy, sort of plug a gap or get to a unit if they need to. But yeah, Mountain Marauders, a unit you don't often see being brought, but I have seen it, I'd say, semi-often. The more oftenly brought unit is this one over here, which isn't a Goblin unit. It's an Uruk unit. This is the Mordor Uruks, and look at that. That's a face only your mother could love. It really is. My gosh. Yeah, Mordor Uruks. These guys on loan by the Dark Lord from Mordor. He sent them on a season-long loan to the Goblins, and I doubt they're going to get any return, because I don't see often. I can imagine you'd send these guys in first. The Mordor Uruks, a really strong unit. Yeah, straight into the front lines for these guys. 38 melee attack, so going up a little bit. Melee defense of 30 as well. A slight increase there. Charge bonus 36. Melee damage 47, which I think is the same. I'm just going to go back and look. Was that the same? No, it's 35. So yeah, they've gone up a little bit, just because I guess maybe they have a different weapon. But yeah, so gone up a little bit there as well. Armor 55, missile block cancel 0, obviously, and their morale is 36. So yeah, they've gone up a little bit there. 47 it says will be extra boosts, but 36 base value. Then their health is a little bit increased on a Goblin unit, because they're not a Goblin. They're 65 when it comes to health, which is quite handy. And then the speed is still 36. They're still kind of in that Goblin range of speediness. Even though they're an Orc or an Uruk unit. So yeah, tier 3, very heavy shock. A pretty solid unit to bring, Mordor Uruk. So you often will, this is the sort of unit most Goblin players will bring, to be honest. And this was the best shock for quite a while in the Goblin roster. But that has since changed. And we have a new Goblin unit. And it's over here, if I can just find it. And they look ghastly. Look at that helm. He's lost a horn, but these, and the eyes are very scary. I never really looked at them, but those eyes are deeply unnerving. And yeah, this is the Goblin Bodyguard. So yeah, this is the new shock infantry tier 4 that you can get. And yeah, it's got a very, massive increase in quality. Really, really good unit. They don't look that small though. That's the only thing I kind of think when I look at these guys. They look quite tall, but whether that's just because of the helms, it might be. I'd quite like to know what they look like under the helm. Probably a mess. But these Goblin Bodyguard have 46 melee attack, 33 melee defense, which is not too bad. It's not great for a shock infantry. Charge bonus 39, so we've got a bit of an increase there as well. 45 melee damage, so that is the same, I believe, as the Mordor Uruks, if I'm correct. No, they got less melee damage actually. Yeah, they're back down at where those orcs, the mountain marauders are. Sorry. So in a way, Mordor Uruks maybe a little bit better to bring. Armor 55, which again is the same. And then morale is a lot higher though, at 39. HP is at 70. And their speed is back to 37, so they're still pretty speedy. But yeah, actually, if you look at them, Goblin Bodyguards in some ways are lesser than the Mordor Uruks. You're spending your money on your melee attack, and your melee solid defense is going up a little bit. Your charge bonus is going up a bit. Your melee damage is going down. You get more HP. It's a bit of a trade. It's an interesting one. Yeah, they've got their own pros and cons. It's why I kind of, when you see these guys being brought, you might bring a bit of both. I think goblins are very much turning into a bit of a shock faction on like what to bring. You can bring quite a bit of shock, along with like a load of cheap swords and axes, maybe to just sort of cover their advance, and bows as well, of course, very, very key. But we'll get on to those in a moment. But there are the Goblin Bodyguards, and that is all of the axes and the shock. I think the next is spears and polearms. So I'll see you guys in a moment. Well, here we are with the spears, the Goblin spears, and as you can tell, they are looking pretty cheap and pretty poor. And this is the only Goblin spear unit available. They are just known as Goblin Warband. Tier 1 spear unit, medium spears. And they've got nothing really going their way, as you can see here. Very poor armor, poor missile block chance, poor melee attack. And they have 20 melee attack, 37 melee defense, 23 charge bonus, 32 melee damage. Armor of 20 and a missile block of 20. So, you know, in some ways, better than some other units we've seen when it comes to some of those stats. But yeah, they're not really got a lot going on. Again, I think this is well and truly would be your unit. If you've got a unit that you want to be pushing a ram forward, these are the guys for the job, I would say. I feel like at least the swords and the like really cheap, well, both the cheap axes, like you've got some more purpose for them. I feel like they've got a little bit of a hit. These guys, the Goblin Warband, really not got a lot going their way. Their speed's pretty good. Again, that's kind of one of the good things that we're going. 23 base morale. But yeah, like the spears, you know, they don't do a lot of damage. Their defense is pretty good though, 37. I guess you want to put them into that. They can't form shield wall or anything like that, so they're in a pretty loose formation. So they're going to get pretty much mown down quite quickly, I would imagine. So yeah, Goblin Warband, not really that great. But this is your only spear unit you could bring if you wanted to, is the Goblins. You're kind of short on options. There are obviously some sub-mods with agile spears and stuff like that, but we're not covering those here today. And so we'll move swiftly on to the polearms. So yeah, this is one of the two polearms you see. It's Underground Wardens. You do see this one being brought quite a bit. I think both are quite interchangeable, but this one's probably brought slightly less, I would say, than the other one. But yeah, Underground Wardens, the medium polearm infantry, very poor missile block chance, as all polearms do have, and average melee defense and average melee attack. So yeah, melee defense is 23, it's much less than the spears we just looked at. Melee attack is slightly better at 26, charge bonus 27, which if you get them out of phalanx, you can take advantage of, because otherwise they're going to be moving pretty slowly anyway. Melee damage of 36%, 36%, I guess, maybe as well, throw that in there, but no, just 36. And then 45 armor, which is not bad, it's not great. And then missile block chance of 0. So yeah, they've probably got that, like, they've got decent armor because they're going to be hit otherwise, because they've got no missile block. The morale is 27, so it's only a little bit better than having a tier 1 unit. They're really not that great. These are tier 2. At the end of the day, health 60 and then speed 38. I don't know if that's speed 38 whilst in phalanx or if that's coming out of phalanx. And that phalanx, that could be something, that could be something else. But yeah, it is saying in pike walls, so maybe that is they're that speedy. But yeah, Underground Wardens, again, got that sort of like Tusk look to them. But yeah, that is one of the 2 units you can bring. The other one is this one over here, which is brought far more often, I feel like now. It used to be Underground Wardens with a meta. Goblin Spear Warriors seem like the way to go now. But yes, they have melee attack 33, melee defense of 30, charge bonus 31. So everything's just gradually improved there already. But still worse than melee defense than those spears, funny enough. Melee damage 31, armor 55, which again just increased there. Morale 33, health 60, and then speed 37. It's a little bit slower, but you're getting so much better stats. It's a small unit, but still quite a large one at 190. Bigger than most Manish and certainly all Elvish units. But yeah, really like solid unit here. The Goblin Spear Warriors. But yeah, it just looks pretty much like the swords that we've already looked at as well. But yeah, you're getting them kind of a pretty big increase in both. About 6 on melee attack. You're also getting about 7 extra melee defense. It's definitely, I feel like, a good improvement. I can't remember why the Underground Wardens used to be so chosen, so picked. I think maybe because of their melee damage. Yeah, they do more melee damage, Underground Wardens. I think that's why people were picking them. But I think people have stopped picking them up for that and instead go for the Goblin Spear Warriors because you get a bit better melee attack and defense and sort of armor as well. And just morale generally. But I think that was the reason why these guys were chosen before. But yeah, there you go. We have done the pikes and the spears. It's pretty speedy. We'll now move on to the archers. So here we are with the range, and most of the goblin archers and range generally I think are quite viable to bring. Mountains Pass Scouts we are looking at here first, and yeah, you do actually see these guys being brought quite a lot. Very cheap option. It's basically the mortal bow rabble for the goblins. Really cheap bows. They're going to get some stuff done. 225 of them in the units. It's quite a lot to kill if you have to shoot them down. But they don't have the greatest of morale. They do have 29 morale, so it's better though than like the tier 1 stuff. They are a tier 2 bow technically, but they don't look it. They look pretty drab. 16 ammunition, I think that's pretty average. I think most factions have about 16 ammunition. Range 150. Which is not as good as a lot of other factions. I believe like the Manish one's a little bit higher. Elves are vastly higher than that. But yeah, if you look at other stuff, I guess armor 40, health 60. It's like I said, pretty basic. Speed 38, still pretty speedy. Melee attack 20, melee defense 17, charge bonus 23. But you're not really gonna have to worry about those stats when you're picking these guys. You're picking these guys because they're a large unit and they're relatively decent sort of shooters. That's about it. You just bring them for the mass, really, and how cheap they are. People waste ammo on them. It's kind of a win for you rather than anything. That's the Mountain Pass Scouts. After that, we do have the next unit, which is the Goblin. I think they're just called Bow Warriors, if I remember. Heavy Archers. That's it. I couldn't. Some reason can't remember the names today, but yeah, Goblin Heavy Archers. This is kind of everyone's bread and butter when it comes to bringing in a bow unit for the goblins. Pretty heavily armored if you look at them like this. We've seen the polearms and the swords already. It's the same, just armor basically that they're using straight out of the Fellowship. Looks great. But yeah, still they're going up a little bit in range. 160, I think that's a little bit up, isn't it, on the archers over here? Oh no, they're still on the. Are they on the same? No, yeah, they've gone up a little bit. 100. Thought I was just tripping, but no, they have gone up. So I guess just being a little bit more elite to get a bit more range. Speed 37 going down a little bit because of armored. They do have average armor 55. Morale is saying 36, but it's in fact 25. So actually, are they better in morale? Yeah, these Mountain Pass Scouts are better in morale than heavy Goblin Archers. Interesting to see. Did not know that. That's something to keep in mind. So you're bringing them maybe for that as well with Mountain Pass Scouts. And then, yeah, health is 60, still base there. But yeah, your melee attack, defense, and charge bonuses, melee damage, all kind of similar stats to what you already had. Actually kind of interesting on the morale state thing, but you get a little less range with those Mountain Pass Scouts. So that's interesting to see. After that, we have got a crossbow unit, which many of you maybe don't know that the goblins do have crossbows. Scavenge crossbows. Don't see a lot of people bringing them because the range is quite low. It's 135. But yeah, they do have one. It's a tier 2 unit. So yeah, scavenge crossbows, I guess, from the Dwarvish Dead. But yeah, Morale also is 22. It's the lowest one of the three that we've already looked at. But yeah, less ammunition as well at 14. Speed 38, which is okay. But yeah, then you've got the rest of the stats. The armor as well is at 50. Sorry, is at 40. So yeah, lower than the heavy archers, but it's higher than those mountain pass ones. That's for sure. They've got a bit of chainmail going on there. But yeah, you could bring these guys if you wanted to, but often you don't. Goblins' strength is in their bows rather than their crossbows, but they are an option. And then finally, we do have the Javies here. We have the Snarker Javies. Again, don't often see these guys being brought. They have very little range, and also just they're a tier 1 light skirmisher, so they have pretty poor morale at 20. So just kind of shoot these guys as they come forward. You kind of nullify them pretty quickly. They have pretty good speed though, 39. But yeah, as you can see the rest of the stats there, nothing really going for them. 5 armor, 60 health, which is pretty basic. Yeah, range of 60 and 6 ammunition. Might be great if you need it for an anti-large unit. But problem is if the enemy still has bows, that's probably going to take these guys out before you can get close to a mummock or a troll or whatever it is you're trying to take out. But yeah, there are all the range units for now. I hope you guys did enjoy looking at those and sort of get an idea of maybe what you want to do. Maybe learn a few different things. I certainly have with those mountain pass scouts, that's for sure. And now we will move on to the cavalry. Look at that set of teeth. That could definitely rip a man's throat apart. But there you go. This is the start of the cavalry. It's not really a cavalry unit as such. It's more of a beast unit. But it is the warg pack. The light wargs are technically a mounted unit, but they're not really because they don't have anyone mounting them. And I certainly want to be one to try. These guys do look ferocious. But yeah, these are the first of the available like mounted units for the goblins. Again, a new addition. Goblins didn't used to have these guys before, but now do have these guys. But yeah, the warg pack, light wargs. I don't think there are any medium warg units. I thought there were, but maybe I'm just tripping. I don't think there are. But yeah, light wargs, very poor missile block chance, very poor armor, poor melee defense. They're a 70-man unit. I don't think you really want to bring these guys. I never see these guys really being brought. They've got great speed, 85, health 145. Morale is 29. A missile block chance of 8, which, yeah, pretty low. I'm not surprised. They are pretty much just a large wolf. If they were to be hit, they can't really protect themselves. So they're just what they are wearing, which is their fur. And they got their armor here of 20. I'm surprised they even have armor of 20, to be honest. But I guess maybe it's just a thick hide is what they're going off. Melee damage of 40. Charge bonus 50. Melee defense 20. And melee attack 36. So not bad, but you don't often see these guys being brought. If anything, people want to bring something a little bit more that packs a punch, which is the next unit along here, which is the Gundabad Wargs. These are kind of what you're going to bring if you're going to bring a mounted unit as the goblins. You've got that rider there. Also just, yeah, a very scary warg below as well. So yeah, double trouble. So yeah, they've good melee attack. So yeah, they're up to 35. It's, yeah, well, actually, warg pack's better. So I don't know why they're saying, yeah, that's good melee attack. That's actually one lower. Melee defense is better though. You got 28. Charge bonus is 50, which is the same. And then melee damage is less. So that's kind of interesting. I'm surprised that they've done that. Really, it should be definitely more, I feel like. Don't know if that's something the devs look into, but surely the logic is that the warg is going to be fighting and the rider is also fighting. But maybe not. Armor's at 25, so have a little bit more. I guess because the orc there has a bit of armor to him. 8 missile blocks still. We're still looking at 29 like morale, 160 health, and 85 speed. So yeah, still same stats there. But yeah, interesting to see. You're actually getting a little less. So maybe something to look into. In theory, but I think it's because of the melee defense that you bring these guys, because the good anti-cav is pretty much what they do. They do have a lot of good anti-cav ability, like traits to them, which I don't think you can see here. Then we have warg scouts, which I don't ever really see being brought. But yeah, these are the last warg unit you can bring. They're a bow cav unit or bow warg unit. Don't know what you really want. You can just call them as. Again, not a lot going for them. Still light wargs, very poor armor, poor melee attack, 23. It's the lowest of the lot we've seen. Melee defense is 21. Again, also the lowest. Melee damage 22, and then armor 25. These guys aren't supposed to be in combat, so kind of makes sense. Morale is also 24, which is the lowest I think seen as well. Health 160, speed 85, range 160. These guys outrange a mounted pass scout, which is quite interesting, and ammo of 16. Well, so they have more ammo than a crossbow. So yeah, quite interesting to see that. But there you go. That's the Warg Scout, and the final sort of Warg and Cav unit, if you want to call them that. But yeah, they have Warg Raw to all Warg units. So it basically brings down morale by -10. So that's what you want to be using them for. So it's massive. The stats don't look that necessarily that good, but like sort of what they morale effectively can do is huge. It's very important. But anyway, those are all of the Cav units. We'll quickly just move on to the trolls since we're already looking here. So the mountain trolls here, the only troll unit available to the goblins. They don't have a log high available. But yeah, melee attack 75, melee defense 35, charge bonus 100, melee damage 137, armor 50. Maybe we'll put that up a little bit. I feel like the mountain trolls need a little bit of a buff. Just a little bit. I'd give them a bit more just armor to make sure they just kind of stand a bit more. Or more health, which is 1400, which is insane. And then morale 51. And speed is 60. So pretty speedy, actually, for a troll unit. But I guess they have to be. And they're also got massive legs, so they should be. They are technically a heavy troll. One thing I would like to see added is drummer trolls. I don't know if they're ever going to get added, but I feel like goblins should get some drummer trolls. That would be quite funny. Maybe less of an actual battle unit, more of just a morale unit. But that would be really, really cool to see, I feel like. And then the final unit over here is a Goblin King. So yeah, this is the unique general that you can bring at the moment as the goblins. It is the Goblin King. Look at him there with his diadem, looking glorious. Not as fat as the one in The Hobbit. And neither is it voiced by Stephen Fry. I think it is. Its voice is the Goblin King in that. But yeah, still very, very cool unit, and nonetheless, excellent melee defense, excellent melee attack, poor missile block chance. It's just pretty much a High Chieftain's Guard with him in charge, I think. So it's 41 melee attack, 48 melee defense, charge bonus 33, melee damage 38, armor 55, missile block chance 24. I don't think those have changed. Those stats have changed from the High Chieftain's Guards. I think it's just the same stats. But there you go. You can see all that. He's just got some extra abilities that are available to him. But yeah, apart from that, those are all the units for the goblins. We'll quickly go back to the army building menu, and I'll show you maybe a couple of potential builds I would do for a maybe a siege battle, whether I'm defending and attacking, and maybe a land battle as well. So I'll see you guys in a moment. So here we are on the army builder. So yeah, you can see all the units that we had here. We have looked at all of these, apart from the artillery, which doesn't add any sort of difference. They just all have the same sort of stats there to those ones. But yeah, they're all the infantry units if you're, that we checked out, and all the cavalry ones as well. But anyway, we will put this on City Assault. And we also won't put it on custom funds of 100,000. We'll put it to 20,000, which is what we typically do if we're attacking on a sort of a stream game or any sort of like scenario, like maybe just a custom game. That's what we would maybe put it at, around about 20,000. So probably we'll start with the Goblin King as like you must bring. I would probably also go straight away and get myself all 3 High Chieftain's Guard. I think that's a good base of an army. You're going to have the money to spend on these, absolutely. I actually played Goblins quite recently in a stream, or at least tried to. I think we had a crash in the end. I feel like I'm kind of going off the build of what I had there. So again, I think these guys are capped at 3, the Mordor Uruks. You're probably going to bring these guys. Goblin Bodyguard, you could bring all of them. I think we went that way around. It might be vice versa, it'd be 2 and 3. We'll come to that in a moment and see what money I've got left. I'm going to bring 2 Goblin Spear Warriors. I feel like these guys can definitely be a viable. I think map dependent on whether you bring these guys as well, but definitely could bring these. Going to bring the Goblin Heavy Archers. They're also just great. Really, really cool unit. I'm not going to be even looking at any of the wargs. Trolls maybe will come too. But I do have my problems with the trolls. And that, you could then go Goblin Blade Warriors like that. I think we could actually up the ante. Yeah, I think it's 3 Goblin Bodyguard, 2 Mordor Uruks. We could bring a troll and go like that. And then we could just upgrade our stuffs elsewhere. In theory. Yeah, it's kind of hard to spend 20 grand as the goblins on the attack. You're going to have some upgrades, I feel like, somewhere along the lines. Don't want to necessarily go cheap. We could even just get rid of like the Mordor Uruks. No, that would actually be cheap. Yeah, the Goblin Blade Warriors are so cheap. They're so dirt cheap. It's great. But yeah, it'd be something like that. I'd put some upgrades, probably on the trolls or something like that. Probably just slap them all there, just give them a bit of a better chance going into battle. I don't think we can put the upgrades to 45 anyway, but that's sort of what I would go with there. Then if we were defending, we're going to have about 15 grand. So again, I'd probably just bring the Goblin King. I don't know if I would necessarily spam out all the Hype Chieftains guards. I think I would go a bit more reliant on Goblin Blade Warriors in this one. Again, probably would bring the Goblin Heavy Archers. They're just that good. You just want to bring them. I would not be bringing Trolls this time. I don't think Trolls on defense really works. I don't think you have the money to spend there. And Goblin Spear Warriors, yeah, you could bring again. I think we'll put them in just because they can be viable to use depending on map. And then we could go Goblin Chieftains, or we could just keep spamming out these guys. And honestly, I feel like this is a build that I would probably use. Just spam out the Goblin Blade Warriors, bring some Archers, bring some Spear Warriors. It would absolutely work. You could go bring some Shock, I guess. Just bring maybe like some Mordor Uruks instead. That also would work. I actually think that might be a bit more viable. Bring a little bit of Shock to work with. Goblin Bodyguards you could bring, but there isn't a lot in them. And if money's in, massive, saving that extra 100 could be make a big difference, and you get a bit more melee damage. So yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to just bringing the Mordor Uruks instead. You could, I guess, since we have the extra 100 right now, we could do that, and then we got a nice 0 on the screen there. So there you go. That's a viable build, I guess, for a defense. And the thing is, you get so much as well. Like, these Goblin Blade Warriors can hold pretty well. They're decent. So yeah, they'll cause some damage. And you have so many of them that you'll whittle down the enemy. Absolutely. So yeah, on the defense. And then if we were doing a land battle, let's put it on. We usually do 17,500 on a land battle. Oh, not 27,500. So we'll say we have something about there. Again, I'll probably bring the Goblin King as the general, because then you can then bring all the Hype Chieftains guards. I'll probably bring about 4 Goblin Warriors. We might up that to 5 in a minute. Probably bring Mordor Uruks, Goblin Bodyguards, bring 2 of each. Don't think I'll bring polearms to this one. I'll be bringing all my archers. We usually do rules of max for range, and then yeah, probably bring a couple more Goblin Blade Warriors. You could bring some Marauders, I guess. We have 700. It's an awkward number now to spend. You're just looking at numbers. I always feel like the Goblins, it's a way you just want to kind of bring numbers and just do that. We could bring Cav. I never really bother with bringing Cav. That's the thing. As like in a Goblin army, really, to be honest. I feel like you just kind of just swarm forward with your mass, and you can kind of overwhelm like that. If you're protected by someone else, there's a lot of cavalry, you should be okay. But we could do, say, like, oh no, we could only cap these at there. Yeah, we'll just leave it like that, and then we'll get rid of that 1 shock, and then say bring some Gunnerbag Wargs. This is also a viable build, I guess you could do. You wanted to bring some cavalry. It felt secure, but I honestly think go without the infantry, and then just without the cavalry, and then just bring as much infantry as possible, and just kind of swarm where you can, and we will do like that. So then yeah, then say bring like that shock infantry. Just, numbers matter so as goblins. And if you go up against a faction that's got a lot of cavalry, probably don't bring goblins. Like, goblins are great for playing anti-sort of dwarves. Elves are pretty good as a goblin counter. Goblins are good elven counter, because, I mean, certainly some of them do have good cav. If it's like Lothlorien, or even Woodland Realm, I'd say to an extent, it does have some cavalry. But Lothlorien certainly does have some cav. It's not great cav. You can definitely punish them for that. And then, yeah, like I say, dwarves are a really good counter as well. And Dogaldor, also you can counter against, because they do have a better cav, but you could try and counter against them if you wanted to as well. But there you go, guys. There are some ideas for Goblin builds. I'm sure all of you have your own strats and strategies. This is kind of what my opinion is on it. I'm not saying yours is wrong. It's just kind of what I've seen and seen work multiple times in streams and in multiplayer battles, and just instilling a bit of knowledge on you. But if you've already got some ideas on builds for Goblins, that's absolutely fine. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the video anyway. And do remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here to comment, show your support. And do let me know if you want to see more of these unit overviews in the comments. I'd be more than interested to hear your views and opinions as well on builds and what you think works best. But until next time, guys, I'll see you folks in the next one. Bye for now.